dating is such a minefield, right?
Yeah.
So dating, as you quite rightly say, what I regard as dating is very different to what you regard as dating. But there needs to be some basic things. Ultimately, what's the purpose of dating?
To get to know somebody, to see if you should pursue a long-term relationship with them.
Do you think that's really the whole purpose of dating? Is to look for a love interest?
Oh, I would think so. Like to figure out if this is somebody that I can, spend time with, understanding what they're about, their values. I think maybe that's too heavy, but that's what I think dating is.
A lot of boys will say dating is about jumping from one bed to another.
That's what I'm saying. It's different. It's different for everyone.
Yeah. So I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is, why am I dating? For what purpose? If my purpose is just to find some girls boys to sleep around with, then your agenda is very different to someone who's looking for a love interest, right?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing to do is define what dating means to you. I think you're right. Most girls, I would say that dating is to find a life partner, to find the right life partner. A lot of boys, not necessarily the case. Again, it depends on what age you are. So a 30-year-old man will say dating is to find somebody, but a 20-year-old boy is not going to say, I want to find a wife, right?
Yeah.
But if you're seriously looking for a life partner, what is it that you need to do to make sure that you find that person? You've got to be in it to win it slightly. Yeah. So a lot of girls I know will say, oh, I want to find a boyfriend, or I want to find a girlfriend. And then I say, what are you doing about it? Oh, I don't know. I just don't know what to do. You can't just say you want to do something and not jump in. You've got to dip your toe in the water, right? So the first thing is to say, okay, you then have to decide what sort of boy you are looking for. So you have to be quite clear. You just can't I just got to find a waiter, or I want to find a lawyer. If you're going to find, say you're looking for a lawyer, or someone in a profession, okay, whether it's accountant or whatever, you need to hang out in places where they hang out, right?
Yeah.
To maximize your chances, you're going to have to hang out at the bars where they hang out, or get friends who know friends in that field. So you need to be slightly more targeted rather than just shoot the blanks everywhere. It doesn't work like that. You haven't got that much time either. You work and you want to spend some time with your friends. So you got to be a bit more targeted. So you then, once you decide, okay, that's the sort of target I'm going to go for, how do I do it? How do I see a chap there and I go, what's my first opening line? What should I be doing? Then you look at strategies as to how you make connections, right?
Yeah. Yes, it's true.
And there's so many, it's a bit like finding a job. You have to be slightly sort of quite targeted about it. And you may have to kiss a lot of frogs.
But I think people, I think when it comes to being to target, to be intentional in that sense, I think a lot of women want it to just flow naturally. And if you target...
Flow naturally. They just want it to just a random act, is it?
I mean, you could be a woman that goes out a lot and, she's very sociable and it may be because of her career or just, her friends. So she's out and she may just want to, bump into somebody rather than intentionally put herself in places. I think maybe that's what it is as well.
You can't just sort of say, I just want to flow through life, and just hope I bump into my soulmate.
I mean, not flow through life, but you've done the first step by being out there. You're not at home just waiting for somebody to for the delivery man to come and you're out there and you're mingling with people. So you've done the first step, but then you'll be mingling with people who are just uninteresting, who's just not your type. I know what you're saying. You're basically saying it's very unromantic. Yeah, it is. It seems that way. It's also unromantic to find the one. What's so unromantic about that? If you get the right partner and you live happily ever afterwards, and you have a lot of romance along the way, so what's wrong with that? Right? If you're looking at it from a couple of months of targeted searching to years and decades of, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. If in 2 months you find, through a targeted approach, you find the one who ticks a lot of your boxes, then coolio.
Bullseye.
I think a lot of people say they want to be in relationships, but who are we actually looking for?
Absolutely right. They just say, yeah, I want to be in a relationship. When you say what sort of guy, you say, oh, my soulmate. Okay, who's your soulmate? They don't even have a clue. Yeah. Right? How does that work?
Yeah.
So my book is about actually just fine-tuning. Just know what you want. Know what you want, because then when the time comes, the person hits you in the eye, you think, yes, that's what I want.
So are you saying that it's okay to have a list?
Not a list, actually. I'm going to turn the question on its head. It's not a list. It's actually knowing what is it you want.
Okay.
So, for example, let me give you an example of me. It wasn't so much a list as I know that the sort of people I like to hang out with are funny. Okay, they make me laugh. They crack jokes, and I always feel happy when I hang out with people like that. I like people who are doers, who are real radiators, who are really giving out a lot of energy, a lot of positive vibes, because they make me happy. I also know that the person I want to be with, people I want to be with, are kind. They need to be kind. They need to be givers. They can't just be life takers. So, okay, just those three things, I was already very clear that whoever my life partner was, those were the three red flags, or rather red lines that I was not prepared to compromise on.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I come across a chap, he could be the best looking chap. So to me, looks was not important. So I come across a chap who's gorgeous, an Adonis, okay? Gorgeous, does very well in life and seems very popular. But on a one-to-one, he's not kind. He's not funny. Or he's not gentle. Then off with his head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you already know what you want. So when you know what you want, it makes your life easier. So that a lot of people will say, oh, he's good looking, he earns a lot of money. But actually that's not on what you want, right? If you have that, that's a bonus, but it's not what you want.
But how do you know? So the things that you've mentioned, the three things, I think they're solid. But then there are things that a woman can say, I want a man that will be able to, a provider, let's say. That's not necessarily a bad thing to want, somebody to provide for the family. But is that something that you would say? So if you meet a man that at his current stage, you don't think he could provide, that you should count him out like that? Is that right to do that? Because he could in the future be able to.
Yeah, and I think at every stage you need to know. So if financial provision is you want someone who's a provider, you have to ask yourself, why do I need a provider? Is it because I don't think I will be able to provide in the future because I want to have children? Or is it because I don't have the ability to provide and therefore I need to find a provider? So you have to really understand yourself. Why is it you want a provider? Because it may well be, you might say, well, actually, I'm a top-notch lawyer and I can provide, but I just choose to have a provider because I may give up my job when I have children. But you also know that because you're smart, that you can go back to work afterwards. So then you ask yourself, is being a provider that important? Because actually at the end of the day, I can actually provide for myself. So you then start to tweak and say, okay, maybe financial provider may be sixth on my list rather than second. So the whole list starts to sort of move up and down. So at any stage you're thinking, is this really important? Does this go up the list or down the list? Or he wasn't very kind to me. He didn't call me yesterday. He was a bit abrupt with me. I'm not sure. I find him a little bit abrasive, Then you think, actually, kindness is what I really want. So that goes up the list, you know what I mean? So you're tweaking the whole time. There's no one thing you can say, well, actually, he's not a provider and therefore I won't have it. Because there will be other things at play that may be less or more important. If you say, well, actually, I there's no way I can provide for myself. I just want to have a man who's wealthy, who can provide for me. If that is your number one thing, then yes, you're right. Then everything else falls away because that is your main priority, right? And I come across a lot of girls who don't use this as a sort of benchmark, but this will be my main benchmark, is they've got to be kind. They've got to be caring. They've got to be loving. So many men are not open. come across some women who are just not like that. They're just cruel and they're abusive and they are unkind, you know. You don't need that in your life. So never compromise on those.
When somebody changes, do you think they were always that way in the beginning, like in a relationship, when somebody all of a sudden, so they used to be affectionate and kind and loving, but then there's a switch? Is that because they were always like that and they were pretending, or are there other elements to that?
Did something happen in the relationship to make them switch? Maybe they saw something about you that they didn't like, and so they switched. Okay. Could it be that too? I mean, there could be a whole host of things. There could be, you know, in the first throes of romance, whoa, everything's so sweetness and light. I've got to be on my best behavior, right? I've got to show my good side. And then as the relationship wears on, you cannot put on this mask forever. The mask will slip. So their true character then starts to come to the fore. That's why I say, you know, don't just marry somebody you just meet, because you don't really have the full hang of that person. You've got to spend some time with that person, you know, to get a true measure of somebody. But sometimes it could be something that you've done. You know, so you could have said something unkind, which you may not have intended, but, you know, and he's thinking, whoa, you know, I'm not so sure I want to. So he's also pulling back a bit, right? So it's a whole host of things. He will do whatever he can to make you happy, whether it's making you smile, whether it's, you know, helping you not to feel so cross about something, or trying not to do something to upset you, you know. So that should be the mantra that a lot of girls should be thinking about. You know, I want to find a man who wants to make me happy. But you also have to spell out what happiness is to you. Because what's happy to me is not what's happy to you, right? So, and another thing, as my husband sometimes says to me, you know, Sheela, you need to tell me how to love you. I don't know how you want to be loved.
This is real.
Right? So if loving you means bringing you some flowers, if loving you means, you know, rubbing your back when you have a bad day or whatever, then tell me what to do and I will do it.
But do a lot of women know what?
That's the point.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things I'm actually going to raise in my book. So, you know, you say you want to be happy and love, you want to find that. What does that mean? What does all that mean? Yeah. Let's drill down.
Yeah. I think a lot of women
haven't even thought about it. Yeah, they just have a very notion of finding the one. What does that mean? What does the one mean to you? My one and your one is two very different type of people, right?
Yeah. It's all so complicated yet simple. It's such a weird thing, like, you know, dating, relationships. It's just, but I think hopefully for everybody that will watch this as well, once we get an understanding of what we want and what we should be looking for, it becomes much clearer for us to decide. It's
always fine-tuning, honing, and then, yeah, and that's what my book's about. To say, what is it you want? Let's just really work on you. Because often we don't work on ourselves. We always think, oh, I want him to be better. I want her to do more for me. But hang on a minute. How about you? You haven't really worked on yourself yet.
Yeah.
You need to open their eyes.
You open their eyes, Sheela. You can open their eyes. Thank you so much.
To open their eyes. I want to see people having happy. I want to see people find the love of their life and having happy. Wow, that would make me so happy.
Yeah, well, you are definitely doing what you should be doing, and I'm hoping, and I know that when we all get questions, and I'll pose them to you to get a good conversation going about what people are, or what the worries that people have when it comes to relationships and what they really should be focusing on. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and look forward to other videos with you.